Springboard Roadshow Foundation, in partnership with the Mastercard Foundation and Solidaridad, present CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.
Hello and welcome to the CoRe program. CoRe is a learning, mentoring and counseling program designed to help young people cope with COVID-19 and come out better equipped to deal with the various aspects of their life. If you're a young person listening to me, I am excited to be able to hang out with you. My name is Nenya Kojonuama. Today, I would like us to have a short conversation about time management. Have you ever looked at your watch in shock and said to yourself, oh my God, what have I done today? Where did the time go? What have I done with it? I bet that has happened to all of us a few times, even today. Especially even during the lockdown, I am sure we didn't go anywhere, or most people didn't. We were not very productive, or most people were not. But days and weeks went by anyway. What is the most important item on your plan today? Do you even have a plan today? Did you actually make one? Did you write it down? Or do you think that you just know in your head what you plan to do today? As children, we were often told, time and tide wait for no man. How true that was. It basically meant that regardless of whether you used your time well, you were productive with it or not, it still came and went by anyway. In today's episode, we are discussing time management. Now, let us get ready. What have you done today since you woke up? How have you spent each hour of today? Did you make a chart of what you were going to achieve by this time today? Help me. Make a little table. On your left, you'd have the hours of the day. Say 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., all the way to your usually last productive hour of the day. On the right-hand side of the table, you will put in what you have done. And if you so want to, you can have a third column which says whether or not you have achieved what you planned to achieve. Now, this is a useful aid for today and for the future going forward, so you can make the most of each day. What have you done today is a good lesson for every morning. What will I do today is another lesson you'd want to take. So our simple 3-column table says time, activity, and status, which means that you have the hour of the day, you have what you plan to do, and you have how far you have gone with it. Now, based on this simple table, you might want to ask yourself, have I been productive so far? Why do I think so? Is it because of the success of the first part of my plan? Now, comparing today to yesterday, which one is better? By better, I mean more productive, more results. If you had to restart today, what would you do differently? Are we getting somewhere? What is time management? Strange question? I guess we all know that it comes from time and management. So, what is time? Time has been defined variously, but the simplest I can find is this. It is the duration in which all things happen, or a precise instant that something happens. Management, on the other hand, is about controlling what and when. Does this explain the earlier question I posed? Time, according to Rick Warren, one of my favorite authors, and the writer of the book, The Purpose-Driven Life. Now, time is the most precious resource and gift there is in this world, because everybody has the same amount of it. No one can get more, and everyone gets to use his differently. So this is the only thing in this world that myself, yourself, Mrs. Comfortokran, Nana Akufo-Addo, the footballer Dede Ayew, all of us have the same amount of time. Isn't this strange? But see how different we are able to impact on each other, even though we all got the same amount of time resource. What have we learned so far? That 1, time is precious. 2, everybody gets the same amount. 3, what you do with your time determines what you become. And 4, time once lost can never be regained. To make the best use of your time, remember this: some things are critical, some things are important, and some things can wait. It has also been said by everybody, I'm sure, that we are in strange and different times. Once again, the use of time. Strange and different times, how, you might ask? This is the time to do things differently from what we are used to. Quarantine taught us something, that work is not a place. With the internet and with Wi-Fi, most of the things we did in our offices can be done from almost anywhere. Children have done a full term without ever sitting in a school bus or going anywhere. Tailors have learned that the most basic accessory to making a dress is adding a bespoke mask to it. So, what are my suggestions for managing your time, which we have agreed is the most precious resource there is in this world, especially in these challenging COVID times? 1, plan your day before you get out of your bed. Ask yourself these questions before you put your foot off the bed. What do I want to do today that I could not do yesterday? What is the single most important thing I must do today if I could only do one thing? Remember, you cannot do everything, but there are things you must do today if you are to make progress. You must be clear in your mind what is the most important thing to be done at each time. 2, set clear deadlines. For today, for this month, for this week, for this year, for that project, you must say to yourself, this is how much time I have to do this work and get it accomplished. 3, set a clear routine and stick to it. Draw up a schedule showing what you want to do when. When is your bedtime? When is your wake-up time? When is your lunch time? When can you take a break? What must you do before it is time to eat? These are all important things to ask yourself if you are to make progress. And most importantly, I find that writing things down makes it easy to achieve them, because your mind is good enough, but writing makes it clearer. Set up a clear routine and stick to it. Know when you wake up and know when you sleep, and know what you must do in between. The hours before you wake up and get out of your bed are for thinking and for planning. Remember this. Decide what can be done at home and what must be done in a particular place. Some things are best done by meeting a person face to face, but COVID has taught us that many things can be done by phone, by Skype, by text, by writing. Let us learn to make good use of technology also. As part of observing COVID, we all got to know that there were many times when we could go nowhere. But if you wanted to achieve something, you still got a lot of it done anyway. How many of us knew about Zoom before COVID? But COVID has taught us that it exists and it's useful and it can make a whole difference in our lives. How many of us knew that sanitizers were an essential item for everyday use? Today, they are. How many of us knew that we would ever get to the point where we wore masks every day. Today, we do. If you are a registered producer or manufacturer of anything, is what you used to make still what sells? Or can you make something else with the old skill that sells today, if what you used to make yesterday cannot sell anymore? Number 5, learn what to say no to and what you must stop everything to follow. If you run a restaurant, a bar, or an eatery, during lockdown, you were at best without a business. However, with its easing, you have to rethink the best way forward and to ask yourself, what can I do differently to attract the same or more business with the skills I had before COVID? If you used to prepare food for offices before lockdown, this time you can only prepare things that people don't typically make at home, like bread, like pastries, instead of foods that were able to sell to people who now prefer to make them from home for fear of any infection. I remember the story of a young Tyler who met a big businessman, didn't know how big he was, and had a good first meeting with him. Now, subsequent to that, the elder person calls the young man and says, I would like to see you this morning because I have something I want you to see. The young man says to the big man, I am sorry, but I will send one of my boys to see you. He said, one of your boys? I see. I will find someone else to do business. You know what? This was going to be his first big break, but he had lost it. I hope he lost it for something more important than that big contract he lost. Always take notes is another lesson I have learned. Do not be found without a pen and a paper. Do not rely too much on your memory. You are not in the other person's head, and don't assume I will remember everything he said. I have learned that lesson the hard way. After writing, I asked the person I was with, can I take a few minutes of your time to recount what I have recorded for us to be sure that I have exactly what you sought for me to get, that I have not made an error in what I think you meant for me to do. That way, all of us end up being satisfied and nobody second guesses the other person. Don't rely too much on your memory. It is good, but it is not as good as writing and getting it right every time. Finally, have a phone time. You have to know when you take calls and when you don't. In some meetings, it is not just offensive to stop to take a call. It also means that you can miss something critical. As a young person starting out in business, make it a habit to put your phone on silent, and make it also a habit to return all the calls you have missed after a meeting. That way, you know you will not miss that all-important call, especially the numbers you do not know. A number you do not know is usually the secret to something that is new and hopefully something that is good. My closing thoughts: time, progress, and success are closely related. It's all about choices that we make. Choices make or unmake our future. It is about learning good habits and unlearning bad habits. Are you one of those who reads messages without responding? In my next episode, we'll look at a follow-up on the discussion of time management, and we will go into something we will call reinventing yourself. Indeed, it is closely related to time management. Until then, apply some of the lessons we have had together. Go back to your notes, review them as often as possible, take the workbook, make notes out of those, watch the videos, enjoy it. If you have questions or comments or a core story to share, it will be helpful if you joined us on the website or on Facebook, on Twitter, or even on Instagram, and share that with us. Until we come your way again, have a good day, make good use of your time, and see you soon.
A presentation of CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.